You know, I want to say, you know, I've been working with Mark Savard. He's my mental coach and hypnotist. He's absolutely amazing. I'm a different fighter than I used to be. You know, this is a warning to the bantamweight division. I'm coming for that belt, and I'm on the underdog every single fight. And I keep winning. So all you haters, you can keep doubting me, but eventually you're gonna have to deal with me and recognize my talent.
You are listening to MMA Think Tank with Jay and Mike.
So, Mike, what do you think about that, Mike?
I thought that was pretty interesting, Jay. I don't know. I mean, look, the guy's he's half right. I guess if we round up, he's he's all right. But it's true. He continues to beat guys that he's not supposed to beat. But I don't think he's gonna get that belt. Caraway's on a high, he should be. He just beat a guy that was higher ranked than him, a guy that both you and I and most people thought he was going to lose to. But man, I guess he's got a hypnotist coach, and if that's what he needs to do, go ahead. I believe he was the guy in Ultimate Fighter that had a hard time not with his breathing, but just like getting psyched out to fight. Like he had a really weird problem. Do you remember that at all?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was kind of odd.
Well, here's the thing, Mike. You mentioned something, what he says, okay? He's beating people he's not supposed to beat. So who are these people? Is it Eric Perez? Is it Johnny Bedford? Is it Mitch Gagnon? Is it Dustin Neese? Who are these guys? Because there's only two guys now that I see that the last two guys he fought, which is Aljamain Sterling and Eddie Wineland, who he wasn't supposed to beat, apparently. But as we know, Eddie Wineland, well, he's shot as a fighter. I mean, he's done. Yeah,
Uriah Faber basically said when he was talking about Caraway ducking him that he basically badgered Eddie Wineland to come back into the sport to fight Caraway. So that kind of tells you where Eddie Wineland was. But at that point, Caraway just beat the number 4 guy, and I'm sure we'll discuss that fight later on. But it's interesting, man, to see where we go from here.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. It's very interesting. So let's go ahead and get into this. We had UFC Fight Night 88, of course. It happened on Sunday last night, and it was a pretty good card overall, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agreed. I just wish there was more finishes on the main card. We did obviously get that. That capstone, that exclamation mark, as you would say, probably, of the knockout in the main event, but still good fights.
Yeah, I really liked the co-main and main event. I thought well, let's get into it, Mike. Let's go ahead with the main event. Of course, that was Thomas Almeida versus Cody Garbrandt, and what an amazing fight this was, Mike. Cody, man, he really wowed me, Mike. He really wowed me. I'm surprised he demolished Thomas Almeida the way he did. Man. And is this a testament to how good Cody is, or maybe Thomas wasn't such a great fighter after all? I don't want to believe that, though. He was 21-0.
The way I look at it is, I mean, Cody Garbrandt, he's the real deal, and it's not to say, obviously, like you just talked about, it doesn't mean that that Almeida's not the real deal, but this is at 8-0 now I believe 9-0 with now 8 knockouts. Cody Garbrandt. He already had that great amateur boxing skill. He has the wrestling. He's training at Team Alpha Male, so he's got a great camp behind him. I mean, he's the leader, I'd say, of this second generation of Team Alpha Male. With Andre Feely and Paige Van Zant, some other guys, that I'm sure I'm missing, but those are the guys that are kind of fully in front in the UFC. And look, this guy he has less than 10 fights, and he put it on Almeida. And put it on him quick. And what I found fantastic about this fight is that he made Almeida look very human. Very Almeida was very tentative in this fight because he knows the power that Garbrandt has. And slowly but surely he found his marks. I mean, just the straights and the hooks through threw Almeida's, not his guard on his off of his back, but just like his gloves up to his face. He was just landing and put him out into the fetal position in round 1, and it was great. Yeah,
that's an understatement. I was really shocked. I was looking for a real good back and forth here, and that just didn't happen. I didn't think he was going to knock him out in the first round. I didn't think he was going to knock him out at all, to be honest. I thought this fight might have went the distance. From here, I don't know. Where do you think Cody goes? Do you think he gets ranked now? Do you think he gets put up there maybe 12, 11?
He's definitely got to be ranked now because I believe that Almeida was number 7 or 8. And here's where we get interesting. You led in with the Caraway quote. And the first thing I thought was, since Caraway had fought that night and he had just beaten Sterling, we'll give him Caraway. And actually, Kenny Florian said just about as much as well. But when I thought about it, Caraway just beat the number 4 guy. That's going to be a fight I'd like to see, but I just don't think it makes too much sense. So they're going to give him a top 10 guy, and I say bring him along just a little slower, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah. And Caraway even said something about that during the presser. He said that he didn't want, he didn't think that Garbrandt deserved to jump over him in the rankings. So I understand what he's getting at, but I kind of disagree with him. I mean, you got a split decision win against a guy who was pretty new to the game. And here's Thomas Almeida, 21-0, and he gets demolished by a guy in the first round.
And Jay, I fully think that Garbrandt puts Caraway away.
Yeah,
fairly quickly. But still, based off where they are in the standings and on the list and stuff like that, I do kind of understand where Caraway's coming from.
That's what I said, but
we're going to talk about a fighter later on today, in Michael McDonald, and that is who I would like to see him fight.
Oh, really?
I'd like to see Michael McDonald. If Michael McDonald can win against John Lineker, I think that Cody Garbrandt should fight the winner of those two. First of all, Michael McDonald's a fantastic fighter, but also John Lineker and Garbrandt have been talking smack back and forth to each other. They were supposed to fight already, and Lineker had to pull out. So Garbrandt would be up for either of those fights, and that's who I would put down for
I got you. That sounds good. But Garbrandt, this guy, I've never seen anybody punch as hard as this guy in that division. That guy has some heavy, heavy hands, and Thomas felt that, obviously. But, man, Cody, he's a beast to be reckoned with.
I mean, look, his accuracy, Garbrandt's accuracy, since I've seen him fight, he's only gotten better, and the power. I already talked about like the straights and the hooks, going between the gloves of Almeida, but that hook that just sent him flat was a piece of beauty. And then the hammer fist that he got in 3 hammer fists before Big John could pull him off. So he's legit, man. He's the real deal for sure. Yeah,
definitely. And now he's 9-0, and man, out of all those, he's got 8 KOs, Mike.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He's got 8 KOs and 1 decision.
3 out of 4 in the UFC. So
yeah, 1 decision win. That's it. That's amazing. That is amazing. And what's next for Thomas Almeida? I mean, I was thinking big things for this kid after his last fight, but not saying he's garbage or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that we had at least 2 fights last night. Kind of 2 hype trains were derailed. Essentially, and where does he go from here?
I don't know. He certainly did. I think you and I were talking on the last podcast, and maybe I wrote it on Facebook, I'm not sure, that this fight, win or lose, these guys are still going to be great fighters, so they're not going to fall too far. They're young guys.
Yeah.
It really depends with Almeida, like, did he have a padded record? Did he not have a padded record? But either way, he was, I believe, 4-0 in the UFC, all knockouts are pretty close to it.
Yeah.
So he's still legit. Maybe they slow the roll on Almeida a little bit. I'm sure he'll still probably be in the top 10. He won't drop too much, I think. But I don't know. I just like to see him fight just somebody maybe on a Fox Sports 1 card and see what happens there. I mean, in the bantamweight division, Takeya Mizugaki seems to be the guy that's kind of the gatekeeper of that division. So maybe they give him Mizugaki to get his feet back under him. Mizugaki's a good striker, so maybe that's what you go with.
Yep, that sounds good, Mike. I agree with that. Let's go ahead and get into our next fight here. Renan Barão versus Jeremy Stephens. This fight was pretty much the way that we thought it was going to go. Good back and forth. Jeremy is the type of guy who's been there for so long now, and he just seems to be getting better as time progresses, and it's crazy. I mean, he put it to Barao and got the win.
Yeah, I've seen Stevens fight for so long. I can't believe he's 30 years old. I keep thinking he's going to retire soon. The guy could fight for another 5 years easily.
Yeah.
And he's getting better, like you said. And I certainly agree with that. I actually thought Renan Barao looked good in the first round. Looked like he was going to be maybe not be the same Barao as before when he was the champ, but still looked like he got his confidence back. Looked like he was going to be possibly another contender at featherweight. But then round 2 came, and look, you don't stand with Stevens. And Stevens almost put him away. The barrage of punches, the hooks, the uppercuts, man. I'll tell you what, Barao he's got a chin, man.
He
had a
does.
chin against both Dillashaw fights. I know they stopped one of them before he was completely out. He was standing. I'm not sure about the first fight, but man, he's never been knocked out cold, and Stevens couldn't do it. So my question to you, Jay, is: was it Stevens getting better, or is Barao still fading away, or is it in his career, or is it kind of both?
It's both. It's both. I noticed that look in Barao's eyes. It seems that he doesn't have that killer instinct anymore. There's that. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's like a deer in the headlights look. He doesn't have that killer look in his eyes anymore. And I saw that from the weigh-ins. When he was pushed off, he looked scared. He looked downright scared of Jeremy Stevens. And yeah, and you're right. During the first round of that fight, I thought, okay, he's bringing it. We're seeing a good fight here. But man, once Stevens landed those uppercuts, it changed the whole dynamic of the fight completely.
Yeah, it looks to me that Renan Barao he's a front runner. But you know what? He's been a front runner when he defeated Uriah Faber, when he defeated Michael McDonald. But to go back to what you're saying about the look in his eyes, I agree. When I watch him fight, I'm not afraid for his opponent the way I was when he was the bantamweight king.
Yep.
And I think guys can beat him. I think he's beatable now.
Yeah.
Whereas before,
he looked
I didn't
untouchable.
think he was too beatable.
Yeah, before he looked like he was untouchable, and we thought he was going to reign supreme for a long time. And man, TJ really put it to him and changed this man.
I really think so. And this is his first fight in the UFC at featherweight. He's fought at featherweight before, but so he didn't have that hard weight cut. So this was a really big fight for him. Even though it went to decision, was a great fight. I don't think I'll still take Barao out of the contender mix right now. Not saying technically he's a contender. He obviously just lost, but I still think he's got something in the tank. How much it is, Jay, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm at the same place with Barao as well. So yeah, but for Jeremy Stevens, man, things are only looking up for him. And like you said, he's only 30, but yeah, when you think about it, you're like, this guy's got to be 35, right? You know, and
he's been fighting for almost 10 years.
He's just got the mileage. And luckily for him, though, it hasn't taken its toll. And it seems that he's getting better, not just in his fight game, but his planning, his game plan coming in, and also the way he's got more cardio, it looks like, than he used to have back in the day.
For sure. And a lot of his losses have come by decision or by submission, so he's not getting a lot of the head trauma that he likes to give to other fighters. So I think that's part of it too. But Jay, I'm cool with moving on to Aljamain Sterling, Brian Caraway. You let in with a great a great soundbite. And I know, I'm sure people that watch the fight, have heard that soundbite. And there's also some stuff that he said at the post-fight press conference. Jay, why don't you go ahead and lead away on that, and we'll discuss that fight for sure.
Who knows, man? I keep beating top-ranked guys, and I'm the underdog every single time, and I welcome it.
All right. Mike, what is this guy talking about?
Well, I mean, I guess he's coming off like a pretty big win where he wasn't supposed to win. He's got maybe the adrenaline still going from a win that it was a solid win, I guess, but he didn't look great in it. He did come back. Look, Sterling almost finished him in the first round. We discussed it could have been a 10-8. I thought it was a 10-9 still because I thought that Caraway did enough before all the craziness happened. He was saved by the bell, it looks like, possibly. And then, he did come back and take Sterling down in the next 2 rounds to win 29-28. Yeah. But I don't understand his bravado in, talking about top-ranked guys.
Yeah.
And fighting for the title next, you can say that based off of, where he is in the rankings. He's just be the number 4 guy, but I certainly wouldn't be talking too much about it based off of who he's beaten.
Yeah, I mean, he got beat by Mizugaki, okay, and
Right.
this was 2013. But after that, he had wins over a guy named, what I said earlier, Johnny Bedford and Eric Perez. Like, who are they? Are they still even around?
Right.
Who knows? But then he lost to Rafael Assunção. And then he came back with a win over Eddie Wineland. We spoke about that. And now Aljamain Sterling. I don't know where he comes up with these top-ranked guys, because if you look anything before all that, it's a bunch of no-name guys.
Well, they're top-ranked guys in so much as they're the top-ranked guys that he's willing to fight, as opposed to not fighting Uriah Faber.
Opposed to
or,
ducking, yeah.
Yeah, the guys he's ducking. And whatever. If he wants to do that, it's the fight game. The easiest way, the top. That's fine. I don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. But he just did beat Sterling, who Jay, I think was a great prospect. I was surprised he was at number 4, but really when you look at the division and you look at where Caraway is now, and look, Caraway has 17 submissions in his 21 wins. So he's not a nobody. Not that you're saying he isn't, of course, but
Yeah.
But if you're number 4. And you were 8 or 9-0 like Sterling was, and then Caraway beats you, that means your division is not as stacked as it is. So I'm curious also where Sterling goes from here.
Yeah, me too. I still think that he's a good prospect. Okay, he's still young. He's got a lot going for him. He's very, very gifted in his physical attributes and everything. The guy is a monster in the cage at times. And Sterling proved that when he got the body lock on Caraway and had him there for about 2.5 minutes. So, I mean, the guy's still got a lot of potential, Mike. I think the guy's still a good prospect. How far he's going to take it, I don't know. At this point, we'll just have to see. But right now, yes, that hype train of his is derailed for sure. We're just going to see, how he recovers from this.
Yeah, he's got a strong camp in Serra Longo. I mean, like, those guys are great trainers, great coaches. He's in the same camp as Chris Weidman and some of these other killers that are out there and great fighters. So he's certainly going to come up. But this is a fight, I think, that is one that he needed. I know sometimes it sounds cliche, but if you're going to lose a fight when you're undefeated, this is the way I think to lose it, because he could have won it in round 1, possibly, yes, but he took down a guy that maybe athletically or overall he's better than. But
Yeah.
It looks like he might have gassed himself trying for the submission over a guy who is one of the best submission grapplers in the division. And so you're going to run into these kind of like matchups at some point, and Aljamain Sterling got rid of it now. He got over it now, at least. So now he doesn't have to worry about, when he's going to lose. And he looked, for the most part in the loss, it wasn't a close split decision loss. But if he's going to lose, it's not a bad way to lose.
Yeah, but also, though, he's talked a lot of stuff against Caraway. So, this fight should be very humbling for him as well. And sometimes eating that humble pie could be a good thing for these stars, or these up-and-comers.
Yeah, these, like you said, he's young and he's in the top tier promotion, the greatest promotion in MMA, the biggest promotion. So he's got that swag already. That he's the funk master. He's got the the chain around his neck. He's not generally a smack talker, but he was smack talking Brian Caraway.
Yeah.
So maybe he comes back looking not just better but more poised.
Yeah.
But I think he's gonna, after a couple weeks, I think he'll get that swagger back. But know now that it's not always gonna be peaches and cream. So anyway, that was your Fight Pass prelim, and the FS1 feature prelim of the night though was Sarah McMahon versus Jessica Ai. Jay, this fight wasn't great, but I felt that it needed to be talked about just a little bit because both these ladies were ranked in the top 10. They're both coming off losses. They're 1-2 in their last 3 with 2 losses in a row. So a win here keeps you in the top 10. A loss doesn't necessarily get you cut, but puts you way back in the heap. McMahon, it was style versus style. McMahon grappler, Ai's the striker. But McMahon, the grappler, just outmuscled Jessica Eye, the striker. That's pretty much all I can say for a decision.
Yep, that's about it. I mean, it was a decision win with Sarah McMahon. I can't. Okay, let's move on, Mike. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and talk about some Bellator, Mike. We had Bellator 155. Let's go ahead and get into that.
Yeah, you talk about a fight that was ho-hum. Okay, Jessica Eye and Sarah McMahon, that was ho-hum, but there was no other more ho-hum or boring fight than last week's Rafael Carvalho versus Marvin Manhoff. If you guys remember, or if you're not, didn't watch it, it's 48-47 split for Carvalho. Look, man, boring fight. Just the worst title fight I've ever seen. And if you've seen the title fight between Andrei Arlovsky and Tim Sylvia, that's saying something. But anyway, Carvalho cheated the whole time, the whole way. He was grabbing the fence. He was eye poking. And look, the eye pokes are one thing. Maybe they're a mistake or like accident. But he was grabbing the fence. Manhoff should have won this fight. But both men fought horribly, very tentatively.
You said it, man. It was a terrible fight, guys. It really was. And it wasn't a good fight, bottom line, Mike.
Yeah, it was worse than the sparring section.
Yeah.
I mean, they just wouldn't pull the trigger.
Yeah. I don't even want to talk about where they go next.
Yeah,
because
I
they
would say it's sad for Marvin Manhoff because he finally had a chance at getting a belt at a top promotion, and he couldn't get it done.
Yeah, couldn't get it done. Let's go on to a better fight anyway on that card, and that was Pat Curran versus Georgi Karakhanyan. How do you say that name?
No, you got it. Georgi Karakhanyan.
Karakhanyan, okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, it's spelled all crazy, but yeah, this was a much better fight, Mike. Pat Curran has been around for quite a while as well, but he's not that old either.
No, but he certainly is on the Mount Rushmore of Bellator if they were to make one.
Yeah.
He had a unanimous decision, 29-28 for Pat Curran. Look, the fight was really good stand-up. Now that he's working with the Black Zillions, Pat Curran, he's looking more mobile, more well-rounded. Though, look, he's still a counterpuncher. That hasn't changed, but he is more mobile and more well-rounded. I mean, he's got the combo now of, his cousin, Jeff Curran, and then also working with the Black Zillions. And I really think that's a good chance of giving him another a featherweight belt. Because he just defeated Georgi Karakhanyan, who is no slouch. He's a fantastic fighter, great grappler, as well as good puncher. And Curran kept it on its feet, went to the ground a little bit, but never really, was in any danger, and would get back up and put it to him on the feet again. So it was an exciting fight.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get on to the next fight. Marlos Kunin versus Alexis Dufresne. This fight was kind of interesting because it was a big upset.
Huge upset. I mean, Marlos Kunin was supposed to fight Julia Budd for the inaugural Bellator featherweight women's championship, but Budd got hurt. So within like a week's notice, Alexis Dufresne, she showed up. She was, I believe, 5-2. Coming off two losses in her last two fights in the UFC. So they didn't even make this a title fight because, I mean, look, you can't have someone like Dufresne fighting for a title. Well, you know what? Dufresne got the upset in 27 seconds left in round one. Got a triangle armbar, submitted Marlos Kunin. Marlos Kunin has never been submitted. Yep. She is a submission queen. Huge upset. Yeah,
no doubt. Huge upset. I was fully expecting Kunin to beat Dufresne, especially with not really knowing who Dufresne was and knowing Kunin over the years. Man, and I did not see this coming at all. Like, if she were to get beat by Dufresne, I would never guess in a million years it would be by submission, and especially in the first round.
Yeah, and Dufresne was on top for a lot as well and wasn't being submitted. And look, I didn't know Alexis Dufresne before this, and now she's certainly got a big win, and now she's on the map in Bellator.
Yep.
I think now she takes on Andy Dufresne in Shawshank. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah,
you
that'll
stop
work.
that, rewind that if you want.
No, Mike, we're gonna leave that in there because that was pretty funny. You had me going there for a second. I was like, "Who's Andy Dufresne?" Oh, Shawshank. All right, let's go on. Mike, let's get into some news.
News Corner.
Go ahead and get into some news, Mike. What do you have for us?
Yeah, we've got some good stuff. Some re-signings, some Fights coming up. Fights not happening, sadly, but let's start off with Mighty Mouse signing an 8-fight contract with the UFC. They could give him 10 fights,
Mighty
15
Mouse.
fights.
Yes, that's my boy.
Yeah, this is going to Jay. Of course, this is one of your guys, so I'm gonna let you, of course, run with this. But this to me says that he now has enough fights in the UFC to become a dual champ.
Yep, he does. This guy, man, how could you not re-sign this guy? I mean, this is one of those guys in your whole organization that you got to get it done. I don't care. Throw the money at him. You have to get it done. The guy is, in my opinion, he's the best fighter on the planet. So it was obvious he was going to sign with him anyway. No matter what, Mighty Mouse is a huge fan of the UFC, knows this is where the top elite go to, and this is where they reside. So he was going to stay no matter what.
I think that the key here is the number, though, the 8-fight contract, because usually you hear 4-fight, 3-fight, or they don't say. But this shows me that both the fighter in Mighty Mouse and the organization in the UFC are seeing eye to eye. I won't say love each other, but like each other. They know what they have with each other.
Yeah.
And there's respect there, and I love it. And Jay, I'm gonna say something that that's gonna make you be a little happier here. Not that you were sad, but I'm going with Mighty Mouse now as the number 1 pound for pound. I'll tell you why.
Wow.
I keep forgetting to put in his bantamweight wins. He's fought in 2 weight classes. So even though he doesn't have a bantamweight belt, he was pretty dominant at bantamweight, something that John Jones has not done yet. He has not fought in 2 different weight classes. So I'm on board now. Mighty Mouse, number 1 pound for pound.
Nice. Welcome aboard. This is a hype train, guys, that will not be derailed. So come on aboard, guys.
Oh, I don't even think it's a hype train anymore.
No. I'm just saying that because we had 2 hype trains derailed tonight. So, but that's great that you're on board now. Anyway, my life is complete. What else you got?
Did you have something else, Jay?
No. What else you got?
Another big signing, bantamweight Darian Caldwell from Bellator just signed a 7-fight extension. If you guys remember, he just beat Joe Warren and is now 9-0 with 4 submissions, 1 KO, TKO. He ragdolled Joe Warren, a couple months back. So, Bellator knows they've got not just a prospect, but really a top guy at bantamweight. So good for them for keeping him.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then we've got, talking about Demetrius Johnson we were just talking about. He's fighting Wilson Hayes at UFC 201. Kind of a head scratcher for me at first. It still is a head scratcher in general, but
yeah, it is.
You got to give the champ somebody, and everybody's coming off losses. Hayes he's 20-6 with 9 submissions. He's never been subbed, but he just got back into the winning column. The win column with a victory over Dustin Ortiz at UFC on Fox 18, which was, I believe, last month or 2 months ago. So Jay, Hayes is he's the next guy. I'm sure Johnson will knock him down as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're giving him this guy to pad his record a bit, to be honest. I think here's the thing. It's not necessarily, it is kind of to pad his record. It's to get Johnson to eventually move up because he's always talking about getting that, of course, the record. He wants to beat Silva's record for defending that belt. So he's going to go ahead and do that. And this guy is just another stepping stone towards that. And the UFC knows what they're doing. They are just trying to get him that record, Mike. That's how I feel anyway. And poor Reese or Heiss or however you say it, he's just a stepping stone.
Well, I think you should say Reese if you want to, since the Brazilians call Ronda Rousey Honda Housey. They don't want to fix our fix the language, whereas we do theirs. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, I guess. But to me though, it's just it's what you said, but it's a little bit of what I said as well. It's just a good mix of there's nobody left to fight, and it's an easy fight for him. And I believe once he beats Hayes, then he'll be able to then fight the winner of that tough tournament.
Yep.
And then I'm pretty sure, Jay, he's got the record, and he moves to bantamweight.
Yep. And I think they know that. The UFC knows that, and that's what's going to happen. And then he's going to go to bantamweight and be a terror there. He's going to be amazing at bantamweight as well.
talking about other bantamweight fighters, we talked about Michael McDonald earlier on in the podcast. Michael McDonald versus John Lineker is the co-main event for Fight Night 91 in South Dakota. McDonald he just got back in his first win after a 2-year layoff at UFC 195 with that rear naked choke of Mansouri Kanahara.
What'd you call me?
He didn't look that great against Kanahara in the beginning, but he did get the victory, get the rear naked choke. Just to give you a quick reminder on McDonald, he's a 17-3 with the only losses to Uriah Faber and Renan Barao in the UFC. He's got 9 KO, TKOs, 6 submissions, so he's still an elite finisher, still a world beater. John Lineker is a guy I've been high on for a while. Not a big fan, but just his fighting style. He's 27-7. He's as exciting as they come. He's got an 8-2 record in the UFC, so he knows what he's doing. And even though he's got dynamite in his hands, he can still submit you. He's got some submissions. So that fight it's gonna pop off. I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great fight. I'm a McDonald fan and a Lineker fan. I like them both. No real dog in this fight, so I'm just gonna be a happy UFC/MMA viewer,
right?
Watching this stuff.
I'm a big fan of McDonald, so I'll be rooting for him. But like I said earlier, man, the winner of this fighting Garbrandt, you can't get much better than that, I think.
No, not at all.
Let's see. Now we've got BJ Penn is out of UFC 199 due to the IV ban violation. He knew that he couldn't use it, to rehydrate, after weigh-ins and stuff like that, but he didn't know it was banned out of competition, training and things like that. So, Jay, I don't know how you feel about this or what you want to discuss on it. I'm just happy, it's not a PED. It's just something that maybe he just didn't have the forethought to think about. But you think his not his fans, but his coaches would have said something? I don't know.
Well, I just want BJ to just enjoy retirement again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm solely on that bandwagon, all that stuff like that. He doesn't have anything left to prove, man. I mean, he should really just chill on the island and not just listen to that music he played, but learn how to play it and be cool, man, and love his family and know that he's one of the baddest dudes to ever fight in MMA.
Yeah, he was one of the baddest dudes, but if you need an IV rehydration system or whatever, you need to go through that at 145. At his age and everything, I would fully expect that he would need to do that. And you got to hang it up, man. You got to hang it up if you need all that. If it's banned, and I just don't see him doing well at featherweight anyway.
No, I don't either. He's too old to be fighting and losing that weight at 145 when he could barely make 155. Moving on, we've got Paige Van Zandt. She came in second on Dancing with the Stars. Look, I watched every single dance she did and a few of the other people. So just really, I know it's not necessarily a big mixed martial arts story. It's just kind of a fun story that now people have seen, not just Chuck Liddell, not just Randy Couture. They've now seen Paige Van Zandt, the public, I should say. And Paige Van Zandt did very well, but the others didn't. And so hopefully we're going to get more people watching our sport and understanding our sport, that it's not just, a cockfight and all that kind of stuff like that.
Wow.
So I thought she was fantastic. I really wish she would have won. I'll move on to the next thing, but I will say that she did have the highest. She and her partner did have the highest scores in the judging. It just came down to fans.
But you ruined it for me. I had not watched the last episode, and now I can't watch Dancing with the Stars.
I'm sorry, man. Let me tell you what. I forgot you need more than a month.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But you did remind me of something that was pretty scary. Is watching what's his name? Randy Couture. No, Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell. Both of those guys dancing. They have no business on the dance floor ever. Ever.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And we've got we're getting close to the end here, but Tough 22 winner Ryan Hall returns at Fight Night 91 in July 13th against Alex White. If you guys remember Ryan Hall was 4-1 and a BJJ teacher for fighters before he was picked by Team Faber.
No.
He's fantastic on the mat. He basically is one of those savant type grapplers. Alex White is no joke though. He's 11-2 with 5 submissions and 4 KO TKOs. But he's got a UFC record of 2-2, so he's kind of struggling now that he's hit the big time. So we'll see what this tough winner Ryan Hall can do since beating Artem Lobov to win to win the show. And fun fact, I guess, is Alex White also beat LeBeau in his last fight. So we'll see what happens there. Anything on that, Jay? Or we move on?
No, just go ahead and move on.
Yeah, here's we'll finish off with some big news here. These last four are big time. Stipe Miocic versus Alistair Overeem, and Fabricio Verdum versus Ben Rothwell at UFC 203 in Cleveland.
Nice.
I'm excited about both of those fights.
I'm excited about one of those fights. And
I think I know which one.
Yeah. Stipe and Alistair. You know what? Alistair, like I said on our last podcast, he's come around for me. I used to hate on the guy, and with the whole testosterone thing back in the day, him getting popped.
Horse meat and steroids.
Yeah, it really upset me, but he's coming around for me. He's doing his thing, and he's become a legit fighter in the UFC. And and then you got my boy Stipe, and these guys fighting. It's going to be a battle. I think Alistair's going to shock people and not necessarily beat Stipe, but at least give him a great fight.
Yeah, Alistair, Overeem, since moving to Jackson Winklejohn, truly has become a better fighter. I think Stipe, just really quickly, I guess, we haven't really been calling out who we think is going to win all the fights we've just talked about, but
no.
I will say that Stipe is going to win this fight. I do pick him big.
I pick him, but I don't pick him big.
Really? Yeah. I think he finishes him in the first or second. I just think he's going to be too athletic, and I think that Overeem his footwork's gotten better, and he's certainly a strong guy. But I just think Miocic is just going to be too quick for him. And then Fabricio Verdum versus Ben Rothwell, that could be a number one contender bout in case somebody gets hurt. Somebody gets hurt, who's going to be fighting for the title. Whether they give it to Kane, because they might give it to Kane if he beats Travis Brown. So if Kane gets hurt, because Kane gets hurt quite a bit, it's possible that the winner of Verdum versus Ben Rothwell could step in. Because let's face it, Verdum just lost the belt. He didn't defend it, of course, but he had that huge run up to it, and Ben Rothwell had a pretty good run as well before he lost to Stipe. So even though that fight's not as big as Miocic and Overeem, the storyline looks good to me, and we'll see what Ben Rothwell can do now that he's fighting another big guy.
Yeah, I don't see this fight as being a great fight. Here's where I think Verdum is going to be winning big here against Ben Rothwell. I just don't see Ben really doing much to Fabricio. So I'd pick Fabricio in that one for sure.
Oh yeah, I think I'm still going Fabricio Verdum, even if he shows up kind of on the chubby side like he did against Miocic. Matt Brown just signed an 8-fight deal, so more people are signing deals. Again, 8 fights, Jay. Matt Brown, obviously big. We're big fans of him.
He's a big draw.
Fans of him. He's a big fan favorite. And he's signing an 8-fight deal, and that first fight will be against Jake Ellenberger at UFC 201. Ellenberger, I'm a fan of, but he has not looked very good in his last 6 fights. He's 1-5. Lost to big name. He's lost to big names like Robbie Lawler, Wonderboy Thompson, Rory McDonald, Calvin Gastelum, but he's also lost to Tarek Saffiedine, who isn't horrible, but again, he's lost to a guy that's not really the top, and his only win is against Josh Koscheck in those 6 fights. Yeah. So he needs a win real bad. And Matt Brown, he's still doing the Matt Brown thing, still in the middle of the pack of the top 10. Just lost to Damian Maia at UFC 198, but Matt Brown is got 8 more fights.
Yeah, and his fight against Jake Ellenberger, it's going to be, Ellenberger is the perfect fighter for Matt Brown to beat in the cage. His style just makes perfect sense.
I agree.
I think Matt Brown is taking this fight and he's being very smart about it. It's I'm not going to say an easy fight for him, but it's an easy fight for him.
What do you think though about Jake Ellenberger really having his back against the wall now? And he's getting another top 10 guy, maybe top 5 guy in Matt Brown. I
don't know why they keep throwing lifelines out to Ellenberger, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I think with his back against the ground, against the wall, I think maybe in the beginning, I think Ellenberger might really come to fight, but I think overall, I think Matt Brown's just going to start picking him apart, and I don't know if he's going to finish him, Jay, but it is a 3-round fight, obviously, so but I'm picking Matt Brown by decision.
Yeah, I hope Matt Brown finishes him just for Matt Brown's sake.
Yeah, and before we get to our pick'em section, let's do Andrei Arlovsky versus Josh Barnett. They're headlining UFC Fight Night Hamburg in September, along with Ryan Bader versus Ilir Latifi, who's also on the card. That was released as well. Latifi's 12-4, 1 no contest. But look, he's got 5 KO, TKOs, 4 submissions, and is on a 3-fight win streak. So if you're thinking, wow, why is Bader fighting Latifi? Well, there you go, right there. This will be the second chance also for Latifi to kind of get a big name win. He doesn't have one. He did fight Gegard Mousasi in a short notice debut fight. So, I can't fault him that much for losing to Mousasi on short notice. But Bader has looked good, but this is a name that he should beat. But if he does lose to Latifi, I think it shows that Latifi has grown and that Bader was as close as he's always has. Bader got as close as he's ever going to be to fighting for the title.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Ryan
Sorry
Bader.
for the mumbles, guys.
Yeah. Ryan Bader, the guy's been so disappointing, He's one of those guys that when he first started out, I was really high on. I thought, well, here's a guy that's just going to get better and better. And he seems to have plateaued a bit. And I don't know. I don't ever see this guy holding the title.
I think it showed what you said is proven by, in his last fight against Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson just destroyed him early in round 1. And look, Ryan Bader was that guy that I thought too that maybe was going to come off the show and kind of be like Forrest Griffin and Matt Serra and Rashad Evans and be a tough guy that wins the show. Hasn't happened, but we'll see if he beats Latifi. I'm not super excited about the card, I should say, but it's a big enough name in Bader to go ahead and give it a little bit of discussion. So. Yeah.
All right, Mike, let's go ahead and get into some picks. We've got some fights coming up.
We pick 'em.
We have, UFC 198 on June 4th. So let's go ahead and get into that. Luke Rockhold versus Michael Bisping 2. Now, of course, in the first fight, we know that Bisping lost. And he lost big to Luke Rockhold.
Big, yeah.
And here's the thing, though. There's been a lot of trash talk back and forth, of course, but I don't think it's warranted coming from Bisping. You lost big, buddy, and you're going to lose big again. That's my thoughts. I'm going Luke Rockhold. He's going to win this fight big, probably even in the first.
Look, Luke Rockhold won that fight with like a one-arm guillotine.
Yeah.
That pretty much tells you what you need to know. Michael Bisping talking, well, it's Michael Bisping. As much as I like Michael Bisping, first of all, I'm happy he's got his shot. I think he deserves it in how it's happened. I mean, the guy's a company guy. Nobody else can fight. So look, Bisping just beat Silva. He's got, I believe, 3 fights in a row. So I'm happy he's getting the shot. However, I think he will lose. But I do want to say that there's a chance. The chance is what he spoke about, and I wish I could have gotten you the soundbite. But he said, "Look, if Jesus can walk on water, I can win this fight. So there's a chance." And so, as a believing Christian, I believe Jesus walked on water. So I believe there's a chance. However, I don't think he's going to pull it off, Jay.
Wow. Yeah, I think so too. I don't think he's going to pull it off. Luke's going to beat him bad.
Short notice. Have any chance for Bisping? Does that help him at all?
No,
I don't think it does. But
not at all. Not at all.
I just don't see him laying Luke out. He has no look. Bisping has great striking, but he doesn't have a lot of power. And Rockhold has power,
and he's got a
great
chin.
Grappler.
He's got a chin too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. Bisping, like you said, he does a lot of talk. So, well, he better watch out because he's fighting with one eye.
Well, yes, that's true, man. I'm gonna go and just move on to Dominic Cruz versus Uriah Faber 3. I'm super excited for this fight. Big Faber fan, of course. Cruz. Okay, the first fight, obviously, back in 2007, Faber won first round guillotine choke. Second fight in 2011 was won by Cruz, a lot closer, but I do believe Cruz obviously won the fight on the cards. Faber was able to knock him down a couple times, but Cruz, he basically won the stand-up most of the time and was able to get out of the grappling exchanges. So now it's another 5 years later, and I'm still going Cruz, and I'm pretty sure probably you are and most other people are. However, the wrinkle I have to bring to this fight is if Faber can hurt Cruz the way he did Frankie Sands in his last fight, then I think there's a chance, because Frankie Sands he got hurt, but he just couldn't get finished. But I think that if Faber's able to land a blow like he did on Sands, I think it's a good chance of getting the back of Cruz and finishing him. But that's the only way I see this going, Jay. I'm picking Cruz to win this fight, not to finish it, of course, because Cruz rarely finishes. I think it'll end up being a decision for Cruz, but that's a little wrinkle I have to add. So
you're saying there's a chance?
Oh yeah, there's a bigger chance than Bisping for sure.
Okay. Yeah. You nailed it. I'm going with Dominic Cruz. As much as I like Faber, I think Faber has slowed down a lot in comparison to Dominic anyway. Dominic doesn't look to have slowed that much in the last 5 years. So, and I know he hasn't fought that often in the last 5 years. What did he have? Right. 2 fights? But, he hasn't slowed. So I'm going Dominic here. His stick and move approach to his fight game is just on point.
You talked about Faber slowing, and some of it too is I'm kind of tired in his last fights that he's not putting things together anymore. He's kind of just doing like a 1-2 or just an overhand kind of counter punching and looking for that one hitter quitter, I guess. That could possibly get him the win, like I said, but he's really got to start mixing it up again.
I agree,
and try and win in the scrambles.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. But I don't think we're going to see that Faber again, that we used to see back in the day. Max Holloway versus Ricardo Lamas, Mike. I'll say it, Max Holloway.
Yeah, and I think it's Max Holloway big. Ricardo Lamas is our whipping boy. He's the top 10 fighter that just doesn't beat the big names and is not very exciting. Max Holloway is different. He's the opposite. He basically is in the top 10 now and is exciting and puts some guys away as well. Look, ever since he lost to Conor McGregor, and by the way, he took Conor McGregor to a decision, the only decision that he's ever been to in the UFC. Look, he's been like 7 in a row. I mean, he's just been looking great. So I'm going Holloway for sure.
Yeah, Holloway all day. So you're talking big here. So are you saying by the second round?
No, what I mean by big is I think that Lamas is not even going to be in the fight.
Okay.
Whether it's a decision or a finish, I really don't know.
Oh, just a lopsided win, no matter what.
Yeah, but since we are in the we pick him right now, we got to make a decision. So I'm gonna be you know what, I'm gonna tell you what. Not just because I like Holloway, but because of the confidence he's had, Jay. I think he's gonna put Lamas away in the third round. I'm gonna go with a TKO, but it wouldn't surprise me if he hurts him and then finishes him, with a choke or something.
Yeah.
I think Holloway's for real. I think if McGregor wasn't there and Aldo wasn't Aldo, I think he'd be possibly one of the top. Well, he is obviously one of the top guys, but I think he'd be ranked number 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I don't know if I said about Dominic Cruz, but with Dominic Cruz, I'm going to go with the decision win over Faber. By the way,
you think Faber gets a round?
No.
Yeah,
unfortunately, no.
I don't know, but I'm picking Cruz too. Certainly hoping, man. Look, if Faber finally gets this title fight, I'm gonna cry like a little child baby. So
yeah. Well, get back to Max Holloway and Ricardo though. I'm going to say Max Holloway is going to win by decision. I think Ricardo will take him to it, but Holloway will probably win just about every round.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Final fight that we're going to pretty much cover, also on the main card. These are all on the main card. Dan Henderson versus Hector Lombard. The reason we thought we'd go ahead and cover this is, first of all, Dan Henderson is a living legend, big fan favorite. Hector Lombard, for as big as a cheat and really not a very good guy outside the cage, he still does bring the power. So you've got 2 heavy-handed guys fighting here. It's going to be all about Hector Lombard getting inside of the H-bomb, I think, Jay. I'm going to go with I want to go with Dan Henderson, but I'm going Hector Lombard.
Get your Dan Hendo shirts out, baby, because he's back with the H-bomb.
You think so?
Yeah, he's going to knock out Hector Lombard. Let's go for it. Come on, let's just be confident. Let's go, Dan Henderson.
Well, he's 44 years old, I think, and he's getting close to retiring. This is the type of fight I think that he can win for sure. Let's just hope that Hector Lombard doesn't pee hot again and get busted for a PED or something. So I'm very looking forward to this fight to see what Dan Henderson looks like. I just really hope he doesn't, end up on the mat, with his eyes wide open.
I hope I didn't kill people's ears out there, but just got excited there because the old man is back. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into Fighter of the Month, Mike. We got to pick our fighter for the month of May.
Fighter of the Month.
Man, I'll go ahead and start this off. I'm going to go ahead and pick, and you won't believe this, Mike. No, I'm just kidding. Stipe Miocic.
That's a good pick.
And the reason why I'm picking Stipe is, well, he got the belt from a guy who we thought was going to be, holding that belt for quite some time. Verdum has been looking excellent, and nobody's been able to touch him, really, in that division. And Stipe just took it. Like a big brother taking candy from his younger brother. Just took it.
Yes. You know what? I didn't pick Stipe, but I agree with everything you said, but I didn't pick him. Alistair Overeem made it 4 in a row with a KO over Andrei Arlovsky, but he had a title shot, but it wasn't him. Phil Davis, he upped his Bellator record to 3-0 with a razor-thin split decision win over King Mo at Bellator 154. He's got a title shot, but it's not him.
Okay, let me guess. Mr. Tate himself, Brian Caraway.
No, not in the list. However, still a honorable mention. Cody No Love Garbrandt knocked out 21-0 Thomas Almeida into the fetal position in round 1, proving that even though he still has less than 10 fights under his belt, he, not Almeida, is the real deal. But it wasn't him.
Wow.
My fight of the month of May is, you guessed it, Alexis Dufresne for the short notice triangle armbar on Marlos Kunin in round 1 at Bellator 155. Look, Dufresne's 5-2.
Wow.
She lost 2 in a row. She just submitted the submission queen who's never been submitted. I've got to give her love. If Alexis Dufresne was, someone we knew, someone who, had a shot, look, I would go with Stipe or maybe Cody, but I got to give Dufresne some love.
Yep. Hey, good pick. Alexis Dufresne really shocked the world, as far as if you're into MMA and women's MMA and you know Marlos Kunin and what type of submission ace she is, and she doesn't get submitted. So
pioneer,
you have
former Strikeforce champ.
Yeah. And I remember after that fight, she just sat there and just was dumbfounded. Her face, the look on her face as she's just stared at the floor. Big ups to Alexis Dufresne for doing that.
He's not a fighter, but Alexis Dufresne did have Red in her corner, and he said, "Look, get busy living or get busy dying." Before she went out to fight.
Morgan Freeman,
she got busy living.
Wow. Morgan Freeman made it. That's nice. You and your references to the Shawshank Redemption. Did you just watch that recently, Mike? Because
no, what's funny is because Alexis Dufresne sounds like Annie Dufresne, and
yeah, I know.
at church yesterday, we had a guest speaker, and he just referenced the movie, so it got me thinking about the movie again.
Okay. Yeah, it was a decent movie. But yeah, so our fighters of the month are Stipe Miocic and Alexis Dufresne. Congrats to those two. And if they call in, they will get 2 free t-shirts.
Awesome.
Anyway, we've come to the end of the show, Mike. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. If you've got anything to say, go ahead and say it now or forever. Hold your peace.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Check out the Facebook. Working on it every day. That's MMA Think Tank Podcast on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter. Everything's on YouTube for our podcast. Jay, what am I missing?
MMA Think Tank PC is the Twitter, so it's at MMA Think Tank PC, and also the email mmathinktank@gmail.com, as well as a phone number at 925-237-1296. You guys can call up about anything. Let us know how we're doing, or let us know about anything, any topic we've talked about, or any fighter. Go ahead and agree or disagree with us. We'll take your call and put it on the air. So anyway, Mike, that's about all I've got. Anything else?
We'll be back in 2 more weeks. Today was a little different on Monday because, the fights were on Sunday. So when we're back, we'll be talking about Rockhold Bisping 2 and, how those fights went. And then we'll certainly be talking about World Series of Fighting 31 and Bellator 156 as well coming up.
All right, Mike, thanks a lot for that. And we will see you guys in another 2 weeks.
Have a great one, guys.